Chapter 92 Bloodmark Colossal Rat. Within the underground holy spring, a youth wearing a street-bought shirt was earnestly sitting there, his face occasionally looking excited, and sometimes his brow was furrowed. Whether it was studying or cultivating, they were both slow and dry. Mo Fan had already deeply experienced this point. However, for his incredible life as a magician, he was willing to endure this lifestyle. I don't know how many days it has been, but I can feel myself touching the doors of an even higher realm. Mo Fan stopped meditating and began to ponder. The biggest difference between primary and intermediate level was the stardust within a mage's spiritual world turning into a nebula. During the time his inexperience card was activated, Mo Fan cultivated frenziedly. His cultivation time had always been more than twice as long as others, and additionally, he had the nourishment from the underground holy spring. With this, he was able to achieve nearly 24 hours of continuous meditation. After all, meditation gave Stardust a large boost. Mo Fan was already able to clearly feel the transformation of his magic Stardust during the past few days. Originally, the higher-level magic nebula was a strange and odd thing to him. However, after his Stardust had burst out with a weak, pulse-like radiance, Mo Fan vaguely felt that this could be the sign of a breakthrough. Normally, Stardust was very stable. His current Stardust was covered in a mist of a bizarre light shell that looked like an aurora. After going through meditation in this short period of time, there was a clear thirst and agitation coming from the Stardust. It seemed like a little life within an egg, urgently trying to break open the mist-light shell on the outside. With every intense radiance coming from the Stardust, it was an attempt to break through the binding of the shell. Every time the radiance turned dark, it probably meant the Stardust was charging its power. His lightning element was the first element he had awakened. During this period of time, Mo Fan felt like the lightning Stardust was going to break through the shells and evolve. Even the stars seemed to have some clear changes. Still not enough. Let's continue meditating so I can get the Stardust to increasingly expand. Only then will they have a hope of breaking through and becoming a nebula. After Mo Fan let himself rest for a while, he already began to have the ideas of attacking the next realm. Biz! Suddenly, a fierce trembling came from his surroundings. Mo Fan, who had been about to break through in a spurt of energy, immediately opened his eyes as he surveyed the shaking walls of his surroundings. What kind of circumstance is this? An earthquake? Mo Fan stood up and walked toward the location of the large gate as he put his ears to it. He wanted to hear whether something had happened on the outside. Just as he was going to listen, the restricted gate slowly began to open up. A week has already gone by? That was fast. Mo Fan was stunned. The sealed door opened up. A woman wearing a milky white uniform entered Mo Fan's eyesight as she darted in. At the same time, Mo Fan saw the entire underground hall was covered in scarlet red marks of blood. The guards were laying everywhere, their bodies all ripped into several pieces. The blood clots and organs were all mixed in the pools of blood. Seeing this stunned Mo Fan's entire being. Corpses, there are so many corpses. What happened to these guards of underground holy spring? What happened to make them so miserable? Captain Liang, the uniformed young woman yelled out. As she finished yelling, Mo Fan saw movement on the other side. The intermediate magician, Liang Weichen, was fiercely thrown toward a pillar of the underground hall like a sandbag. The pillar was directly broken into two. Fortunately, Liang Weichen's body had a layer of water barrier protecting him, or else that kind of collision would definitely have injured him badly. Just what is happening here? Seeing that made Mo Fan tremble in fear. There was actually something that was capable of throwing a grand intermediate magician around like a sandbag. Mo Fan moved to the side so that he could see the other half of the underground hall obstructed by the stone door. What numbed Mo Fan's entire body was that there was actually a creature standing there with a body that was bigger than a small truck. This creature's neck and head were indistinguishable, but the big rat's body was extremely distinct. It was different from a colossal-eyed ape rat. This creature's body was covered in incomparably sinister, twisted, and numerous blood marks. It made this pickup-sized big rat appear even more dreadful. Mo Fan had been in the hunter squad for a year, yet, he had never seen this kind of body. He had never seen a colossal-eyed ape rat with a body full of blood marks. The aura it emitted from its body made him feel as if he had fallen into an ice cavern as he trembled in fear. This is a blood-marked colossal rat. Mo Fan plundered the knowledge he had learned from his magical beast classes. At last, he finally remembered the name of this creature. Heavens, the blood-marked colossal rat on the textbooks looked somewhat comical, but the genuine blood-marked colossal rat's fierce appearance felt like an attack in itself. Why did this thing appear inside the underground hall? Were all of the guards killed by this blood-marked colossal rat? Goo goo goo. The blood-marked colossal rat seemed to have smelled the odor emitted from the underground holy spring. Its massive lantern eye immediately locked onto the location of Mo Fan and the guardswoman. Its sharp claws easily dug into the underground hall's stone bricks. One could feel that this blood-marked colossal rat was currently charging up its power, just like a pickup truck gunning its engine. Close the door. Surrounded by stone fragments, Liang Weichen shouted toward the guardswoman. Lin Yuxin bit her lips, but she had no choice but to fiercely slap the gate. The two restriction gates closed. Just when the opening was reduced to a small crack, Mo Fan was terrified to see the blood-marked colossal rat's claw coming in. It caused Mo Fan to reflexively stumble back. Too fast. The closing speed of the gates was extremely quick. The blood-marked colossal rat was clearly over 30 meters away, yet, it charged over in a wink. Boom! The stone gates trembled. The blood-marked colossal rat had clearly slammed into them. Lin Yuxin's complexion turned pale as she glanced at the student who was still cultivating here. What happened? Mo Fan asked, a lingering fear in his heart. The scene from before was too scary. If they were one step later closing the door, then they would have instantly lost their lives. The blood-marked colossal rat was several times scarier than the nearly evolved one-eyed magic wolf. It was definitely not something a primary-level magician was capable of fighting against. If you don't want to die here, then come with me. Lin Yuxin didn't have the time or patience to explain to him. All of Bo City had sunk into a crisis. The sewers were filled with magical beasts. They appeared to have been planning for it. They all began to frantically attack the underground holy spring. On the surface, all of the magicians were currently fighting off an invasion of magical beasts. The underground holy spring had suffered a surprise attack, and so they wouldn't be receiving any reinforcements. Presently, they could only rely on themselves to protect the underground holy spring. Chapter 93 Bo City died in blood. How do we leave? This is basically a cell. Mo Fan looked at the guardswoman, who was dripping with sweat. Just follow me. Lin Yuxin didn't want to babble with Mo Fan, and quickly walked to the altar. Following her instructions, she ran her finger under the edge of the altar and found a button hidden there. Biting her lip, she pressed it down, and heard a gurgling behind her. Without knowing what kind of button she had pressed, the originally circulating underground holy spring was now continuously flowing into a small hole. Gouda, Gouda. A few seconds later, all of the underground holy spring had disappeared. There was not a single drop left within the small stone ditch. Lin Yuxin strode to the very top of the altar and tore open the still leather mat, which was still warm from Mo Fan sitting on it. The board beneath the leather mat could be opened. After Lin Yuxin opened the board, there was a blue bottle inside. Within the bottle appeared to be the incomparably clear underground holy springs waters. Mo Fan was incredibly curious. How could so much underground holy spring be contained within a soda can-sized bottle? Lin Yuxin carefully put away the bottle that contained the underground holy spring and turned around to look at the straightforward student who was about to do his magic high exams. She said, "This is the emergency protection plan for the underground holy spring. There is another passage in this cell. It should lead to the back mountain of your Tian Lan Magic High." "It leads to the back of the school's mountain? Miss, can't you tell me just what exactly has happened first?" Mo Fan asked anxiously. "You'll know once you've exited. Come with me first. Their objective is precisely the underground holy spring. We cannot let the underground holy spring land in their hands." Lin Yuxin didn't want to say too much. There? Mo Fan was even more confused. He didn't know what Lin Yuxin was saying. Lin Yuxin walked along the wall. Her fingers actually inserted what seemed to be some kind of password into a section of the stone wall that was indistinguishable from the rest. Mo Fan was stunned as he saw this. He had concentrated hard to cultivate in this cell, so much that he didn't realize there were so many mechanisms in the underground holy spring chamber. Krrrr. With a grinding noise, the stone wall to the side suddenly opened up, revealing a pitch-black tunnel. He really wondered where the tunnel led to. "Leaving this place is our priority." Lin Yuxin said no more as she grabbed Mo Fan and they walked into that dark tunnel. Mo Fan had also realized that major things were happening on the outside, so he didn't dare to hesitate. As they walked a few steps inside, Lin Yuxin suddenly thought of something. Her pair of somewhat sharp eyes looked over at Mo Fan. This secret tunnel isn't necessarily safe. The people from the Black Vatican should have me as their objective. I'll let you carry the underground holy spring. You must protect it. Lin Yuxin made a decision that he himself thought was rude and impetuous. However, Lin Yuxin had no other choices. The Black Vatican came here prepared. It seemed like they knew the underground holy spring like the back of their hand. If they were to meet people from the Black Vatican during the process of escaping, then their main objective would definitely be her, the vice captain, while Mo Fan, a student, would definitely be neglected by the people from Black Vatican. As long as they were able to protect the underground holy spring, then there was still hope. Can I trouble you to just tell me what is going on? Mo Fan was a bit impatient. Judging by how Lin Yuxin appeared to have lost her spirits, it meant that a big commotion was happening in Bo City. Blood alert, Lin Yuxin was unable to clearly explain to this student in a short amount of time. After all, the student was secluded in the room, and completely ignorant of what had happened in the outside world. Blood alert? A colossal rock ferociously hit Mo Fan's heart, causing a huge wave of emotion. After coming to this world, Mo Fan had learned some very important information. It was a fact that humans were not the dominant race in this magical world. Outside of the city dwelled magical beasts hundreds and thousands of times more numerous than humans. The magical beasts were also spying on the resources that were occupied by humans. Beneath the command of some magical beasts that acted like monarchs, the magical beasts would be like a legion as they attacked human cities in a large-scale assault. There had been cases where some weak cities disappeared after a single night. Thus, the 5 continents of the world with the strongest magic associations called these kinds of attacks against cities alerts. Furthermore, they would be divided into different levels based on the number of magical beasts and their powers. Just like natural disaster warnings from the technological world had different levels, so too the kind of crises where magical beasts would invade the humans also had different levels. Orange alert. That was the first level of alerts. This meant there were sightings of magical beasts within the vicinity of the safety boundaries. Their numbers were above 300. An orange alert happened 2 years ago. That time had already alarmed people. A blue alert was even more dreadful. For Bo City, this would be a foul wind of blood rain. Who knows how many magicians and civilians would lose their lives when the magical beasts wantonly invaded. But the higher level, blood alert. That was destruction, massacre, a catastrophe for the city. The limited amount of battle mages would be unable to fend off the invasion of the magical beasts. The magical beasts would invade the city and start wildly massacring the people. It was not just a few magical beasts running around. There would be hundreds or thousands of them. There were many magicians who would get slaughtered like chickens, let alone the civilians who were completely unable to do anything. Blood alert. The city would turn into a river of blood. The corpses would be everywhere. Just the descriptions and records from books caused people to tremble in fear. Now that everything was happening in front of everyone's eyes, just what kind of hell on earth would it be? After passing through the secret tunnel, Mo Fan, who was still dazed with disbelief, and Lin Yuxin emerged on the north side of the mountain in the city. The heavy rain was still pouring down, the dark and gloomy weather enveloping all of Bo City in a depressing atmosphere. From afar came a roar that caused people to shake as it echoed in their ears. In an instant, their bodies began to tremble in fear. Mo Fan turned his gaze in the direction of where the roar of the magical beast came from. Heavens, that was a residential area. The ground-level houses, and the streets constructed with outdated cement. It was like a food market that had scarlet red blood flowing out. All that blood couldn't be the blood of chickens. That was the blood of once living people that converged into a streamlet as it flowed into the sewers from the constant pouring of the heavy rain. Bloody red, an eye-catching bloody red. Standing on the back of the mountain in the middle of the city, you could clearly see bloodstains everywhere in the rain-covered, dusky Bo City. Bo City was an ink-like city with the characteristics of the South. Under the rain, it would normally look even more like a beautiful painting. However, today, Mo Fan saw a painting that was filled with bloodstains, like the arrival of a nightmare. Ooh ooh! A trembling roar suddenly erupted from Bo City. Its sound caused goosebumps all over. Mofan suddenly turned his head around as he looked in the direction of the sound. However, a mind-blowing and terrifying scene entered his eyesight. A gray sky shrouded all of Bo City. Bo City's symbol building, the Silver Commerce Tower, was like a crane in a flock of chickens. It almost looked as though it was touching the gray heavens. However, lying on the dome of the lofty Silver Commerce Tower was a colossal shadow. Its tail stretched almost the full length of the dome of the Commerce Tower. Half of its wings were unfurled. One half looked hazy in the rain. The other half covered several floors of the building. Its head was raised high. The roar that shook the entirety of Bo City came from a ferocious mouth that was capable of swallowing clouds.